ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। In this session, we'll be discussing the 12th verse of the second chapter of the first canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Tat Shraddhadhana Munayo Jnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyantyatmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya. The meaning of this verse is: the seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. This is a very, very important verse from the perspective that those who are following the path of transcendental knowledge, cultivating spiritual knowledge, they accuse devotees of not spending time in cultivation of knowledge. They think devotees are simply sentimental persons who may do some chanting or may do some worship or may sing some bhajans, but devotees don't do thorough study of the scriptures. So this verse nullifies that misconception about devotees. This verse clearly says those who are seriously inquisitive in this path of bhakti, they are well equipped with knowledge and detachment. They are well equipped with knowledge and detachment. And how are they equipped with knowledge and detachment? That is already explained. Anybody who is engaged in pure devotional service to Vasudeva or Krishna are able to develop very quickly, without separate endeavor, they are able to develop jnana and vairagya, transcendental knowledge and material detachment. So for devotees, this transcendental knowledge and material detachment are byproducts of simply engaging in pure devotional service. So this secret is unknown to the transcendentalists who follow the path of cultivation of knowledge. They do not know this. That devotional service automatically leads to realization or enlightenment in transcendental knowledge and complete material detachment from everything mundane. So here it said that one who is seriously inquisitive about realizing the supreme absolute truth as the personality of Godhead is well equipped with knowledge and detachment, and the process of realization is by rendering devotional service in terms of what he hears from the Vedanta Shruti. Vedanta Shruti. Devotional service is never performed whimsically or according to one's own individual chalked out program. No, there is a standard that is prescribed in the scriptures. So one cannot whimsically do some so-called devotional service and expect that they will automatically make some advancement. That never happens. So Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport elaborately that the absolute truth is realized in full by the process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is full-fledged absolute truth. Krishna is the complete absolute truth. Brahman feature of the absolute truth is his transcendental bodily effulgence. And Paramatma feature is his partial representation as the expanded form who has entered the hearts of all living beings and every atom in this material world. So, Brahman or Paramatma realization of the absolute truth is partial realization. Complete realization means Bhagavan realization or realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, among civilized people, the scriptures are analyzing, there are 4 categories of human beings: the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and the bhaktas. So, among these 4 categories of civilized human beings, the karmis are materialistic persons, whereas the other 3, the jnanis, yogis, and bhaktas, are transcendentalists. The first class transcendentalists are devotees who have realized the Supreme Person, Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. The second class transcendentalists are those who have realized the plenary portion of the Absolute Person who is present in everyone's heart as Paramatma. And the third class transcendentalists are those who have realized the Brahman feature. So, as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita and all the other Vedic literatures, the Supreme Person or Supreme Personality of Godhead or Bhagavan is realized only by devotional service and by no other method. Not by jnana, not by Ashtanga Yoga, not by practice of pious activities. No. That doesn't lead to realization of Bhagavan. And the devotional service which one renders should be backed by full knowledge and detachment from material association. Until one is fully detached, the devotional service is never going to fructify in terms of doing devotional service on the spiritual platform. Until one is fully materially detached, one is not situated above the modes, above the gunas. One is still on the material platform. So therefore, one has to come to the spiritual platform to actually properly render devotional, pure devotional service to Krishna. So, devotional service has to be performed according to the descriptions how to do devotional service as given in the Vedanta Shruti. Now, devotional service, therefore, is not meant for the less intelligent class of transcendentalists. So, therefore, it is explained there are 3 categories of devotees. Not all devotees are in the same category. First class devotee, second class devotee, and third class devotee. The third class devotees are beginners in devotional service. They have no knowledge and are also not detached from material association. But they are attracted by the preliminary process of worshipping the deity in the temple. Such devotees are called material devotees, prakrita bhakta. They are more attached to material benefit than spiritual uh, realization. So, therefore, it is explained in the Shastras that one has to make progress from the third class position to the second class position. Now, in the second class position, the devotee is able to see four principles in the devotional line. What are they? They are able to clearly distinguish between the Supreme Personality of Godhead, His devotees, and the ignorant people and the envious people. In this world, there are different categories of persons. So, a second class devotee is able to distinguish between these four classes of persons. And unless one comes to at least the second class devotee position, one is not able to realize the absolute truth as the personality of God. It's not possible. So, therefore, it is said here a third class devotee has to receive instructions of devotional service from the authoritative sources of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. Now, Srimad-Bhagavatam is itself describing that there are two types of Bhagavatas. The one type of Bhagavata is the personality of devotee, the pure devotee, the person who is actually 100% following the Srimad-Bhagavatam. And the other Bhagavata is the message of Godhead which is given in the Srimad-Bhagavatam. So, the third class devotee has to go to the pure devotee and take instructions in devotional service from a pure devotee. Now, this pure devotee or first class devotee is not a professional person who earns his livelihood by speaking on Bhagavatam. Nowadays, it has become very common to conduct what is called as Bhagavat Saptaha. 7 days they will do a program in which they will collect huge amounts of money, whatever amounts of money they collect, either big amount or small amount, that is not important. What is important is they are very much interested in making a profession out of reciting Bhagavatam or giving a Bhagavatam discourse. And such a person is not properly qualified to impart instructions to a third class devotee. The first class devotee is one who's a proper representative of Shukadev Goswami, and he must preach the cult of devotional service for benefit of all the people without any discrimination. Now, the third class devotee, he generally doesn't have taste for hearing from a first class devotee because he wants to make a show of hearing from a professional person to satisfy his own senses. Professional people, what they do? They speak on Bhagavatam, but they directly go to the 10th canto and describe rasa dance pastime without preparing their audience to help the audience understand how rasa dance performed by Krishna is not a ordinary dancing between ordinary persons. No, it is a very, very, very exalted pastime, transcendentally exalted pastime of the Supreme Lord, which can be understood only after one goes through the first 9 cantos of Bhagavatam. at least one is able to situate oneself properly to understand the transcendental nature of the personality of Krishna. If one directly jumps to the 10th canto without understanding Krishna's transcendental position, one will mistake Krishna to be an ordinary person. So that is very, very dangerous. Such a misconception about Krishna will not benefit the person who misunderstands Krishna's personality and therefore also misunderstands Krishna's pastimes. So Srila Prabhupada says that one has to hear Bhagavatam first of all from a first class devotee who's completely detached and who does not depend for his livelihood on reciting Bhagavatam or on doing some deity worship and receiving some monthly salary. No, such people cannot be speakers of Bhagavatam for helping those who hear to develop detachment. There is no development of any detachment or any transcendental knowledge if one hears from professional men. So you have to hear from those who are following the principles of pure devotional service. Only then there is possibility of experiencing a change of heart. The devotees who are following the process of pure devotional service, when they speak, the words that come out of their mouth have got spiritual potency to penetrate the hearts of the hearers and bring about a transformation where there is purification and all the dirty things which are contaminating the heart of the hearer are completely cleansed away. This will be clearly explained in the 17th verse. When we come to the 17th verse, we'll discuss this in detail. But for now, let us understand that a sincere devotee has to approach such a first-class devotee to hear from this first-class devotee, and this first-class devotee is completely detached materially and he is transcendentally enlightened in transcendental knowledge, because such a first-class devotee has undergone training and has taken shelter of another first-class devotee. You see, this is the parampara system. Just like Suta Goswami is specially qualified to speak to the sage Naimisharanya because he has heard from Shukadev Goswami. Shukadev Goswami is a completely liberated Paramahamsa. But even he learned the Bhagavatam from Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva learned the Bhagavatam from Narada Muni. Narada Muni learned the Bhagavatam from Brahma. Brahma learned the Bhagavatam directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is called parampara system. Without following this parampara system, nobody can be properly enlightened in the subject matter of the Bhagavatam, nor can they understand the transcendental position of the personality of Godhead Krishna. So therefore, this care has to be taken that any beginner has to hear the Bhagavatam from the right source, has to study the Bhagavatam which is explained by a first-class devotee. Just like Prabhupada is taking the trouble of writing the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada used to get up in the middle of the night because throughout the day he was busy organizing the preaching in terms of this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He was busy traveling, but wherever he was, he would get up in the middle of the night and sit down and spend some 2 to 3 hours translating the Bhagavatam. Why? Because unless he presents the Bhagavatam, There are so many other editions of Bhagavatam, especially in English, we are talking, which are written by those who are not situated in this position of a first class devotee, completely materially detached and completely enlightened in the subject matter of the Bhagavatam by having surrendered themselves to a first class devotee and learned the Bhagavatam from by hearing from such a first class devotee. So this is a important point that is clarified in this particular verse and purport.